Throughout history, there have been voices that spoke about the hidden depth of the human soul. Some came from the world of mysticism and faith, others from the world of psychology and modern science. Yet when you place their ideas side by side, something remarkable happens. They begin to sound like echoes of the same truth. At the heart of both teachings is a radical idea that the human being is not simple. We are layered, symbolic, divided, and yet full of infinite potential. Beneath our daily personality lives a deeper self, a spiritual core, a hidden point of purity that never becomes corrupted. Even when a person feels broken, sinful, anxious, or lost, that inner point remains intact. One tradition speaks of a holy spark within every person, a tiny flame of goodness that can never be extinguished. Modern depth psychology speaks of the self, the totality of the psyche, far larger than the ego, guiding us toward wholeness. Both insist that despair is an illusion born from identifying only with the surface. The work of life is to reconnect to that deeper center. The journey inward. The path to that center is not comfortable. Both teachings emphasize descent before ascent. A person must confront darkness, confusion, contradiction, and even absurdity. Spiritual writings describe the experience of falling into concealment, moments when meaning disappears and faith feels distant. Psychology describes encounters with the unconscious, the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, repress, or fear. The shadow is not evil, it is unfinished. The darkness is not punishment, it is potential. When we refuse to face our inner contradictions, they control us from below. When we enter them consciously, they transform us. One teaching goes so far as to say a person must descend into their own confusion to discover a higher wisdom hidden within it. Another describes individuation, the lifelong process of integrating unconscious elements into consciousness. Both describe the same movement, fragmentation toward unity. Joy as a spiritual technology. A striking and unexpected bridge between these worlds is the emphasis on joy. Spiritual mysticism insists that sadness locks the soul, depression narrows perception, joy, even forced at first, opens channels. One must sometimes act joyful before feeling joyful. Singing, dancing, telling stories, even laughing at one's own darkness becomes a method of transcendence. Psychology agrees in its own language. Emotional energy that stagnates becomes neurosis. Movement, creativity, symbolic expression, these restore psychic flow. The psyche heals not only through analysis, but through expression. Joy here is not naive optimism, it is defiance. It is the refusal to let despair define identity. It is the declaration that beneath confusion lies meaning. The language of dreams. Both perspectives give enormous importance to dreams. In mystical thought, dreams are windows to hidden spiritual messages. They speak in symbols, not logic. In psychology, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, spontaneous productions of the psyche that reveal unresolved tensions, archetypal images, and guidance toward balance. Dreams bypass the rational ego. They speak in images because the soul itself thinks in images. A king in a dream may represent authority within you. A child may represent vulnerability or new beginnings. A dark forest may represent the unknown self. The task is not to decode mechanically, but to enter dialogue with the image. What part of me is speaking? What wants integration? The broken heart and wholeness. Another shared insight. A broken heart is not a failure, it is an opening. Spiritual teaching says that a broken heart is the most complete heart. When arrogance dissolves, humility appears. When certainty cracks, authentic seeking begins. Depth psychology says something similar. Neurosis is often the psyche's attempt to force growth. Symptoms are signals. Anxiety, recurring patterns, even crises. These may be invitations toward transformation. Wholeness does not mean perfection, it means integration, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability, faith and doubt. To become whole is not to eliminate darkness, but to include it consciously. Story and symbol. Mystical masters told stories filled with strange kings, lost princesses, distant lands, and impossible quests. These were not fairy tales, they were maps of the soul. Every character symbolized an inner force. Psychology recognizes archetypes, universal symbolic patterns that appear across cultures: the hero, the wise old man, the mother, the trickster, the shadow. These are not external myths alone, they are internal realities shaping our lives. When a person feels called to adventure, that is the hero archetype awakening. When someone sabotages themselves, the shadow may be demanding attention. When guidance appears in unexpected form, the inner sage speaks. Symbol is the bridge between the conscious and the infinite. Faith and the unknown. Perhaps the deepest meeting point lies in the attitude toward uncertainty. Mystical thought teaches that ultimate reality cannot be grasped by intellect alone. There is a level of paradox beyond reason. One must leap, not blindly, but courageously. Psychology speaks of holding tension between opposites. True growth happens when we do not collapse into one side of a conflict, but endure ambiguity. The psyche seeks balance, not rigid answers. In both, doubt is not the enemy of faith, it refines it. Darkness is not the opposite of light, it gives it depth. The infinite within. At their core, these teachings share one revolutionary belief: the human soul is vast. You are not merely your biography, not merely your traumas, not merely your mistakes. There is a deeper axis within you, pulling toward meaning. The work of life is not self-improvement in the superficial sense, it is self-discovery. It is remembering the hidden spark. It is integrating shadow. It is learning to listen to dreams. It is choosing joy, even in dissent. It is walking into the forest without certainty, trusting that the path forms beneath your feet. Wholeness is not achieved once and for all. It is a living process, falling and rising, concealment and revelation, fragmentation and integration. And perhaps the most radical message of all: no matter how far a person feels from themselves, they are never truly lost. The way back begins within.